Hey, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I am super excited for this series, this Speechy Side Hustle series, gearing up for our SLP Business Connect 2025 panel. And we were trying to come up with some ideas on different topics that SLPs might be curious about, like private practice or best business books. So, one of the things that we were talking about is that a lot of SLPs don't realize how few sessions they need to have per week to match their, let's say, school salary. There's so many different settings that an SLP can be in, but I used to work full time in the schools, and my salary in Florida was not fantastic. And I was working a lot. And I can't even believe where I'm at now with private clients and how it's basically matched or even exceeded my school salary. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I know you used to see some private clients too. You were in a clinic setting. I've also been in a clinic setting before. And when we were like running these numbers, it like blew your mind too, because essentially I'm working 10 hours a week with private clients and that's it, and my salary has exceeded.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about what you have to say and how you did this because it sounds like, from what my experience has been in the schools and even in private clinics, you're really running around a lot of your day and you can do basically the same amount of numbers and reserve so much more of your time.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's pros and cons. I mean, one of the things for me with private practice is I never really wanted to go full time into private practice. And I felt like if I went full into private practice that I would be stuck where I was and being overwhelmed and burnt out again. I just remember working in a clinic where I would see clients back to back every 30 minutes. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. And so there is a way to see private clients that doesn't put you on this hamster wheel. And that's kind of what I've created for myself. And it's actually taken me a lot longer than I know it takes some other people. Like we had the giggly SLP on and she grew hers super fast within a year, but I know all her eggs were in like the private practice basket. Mine has not. I do a lot of different things, but I still like to dabble in private practice. And then more recently, I started taking on a few more private practice clients. I just got a lot of referrals at the beginning of this year, too. And so I just kind of trusted that that's the route that I'm supposed to be going right now. And it's been really awesome to see how quickly that can grow, but also, again, how few clients you have to see to match your salary that I was working in the school. So let's jump right into it. So
Yeah.
currently, I am seeing 3 clients 2 times a week at 150 a session, and I like it that way, but I think that if I were to take on, let's say, 2 more clients that I saw twice a week, that would get me to 10 hours a week. So right now I'm working 6 hours, private practice clients, making a little over 3,000 a month, but I'm also doing Tassel and everything else. And also, I want to keep it kind of part time right now because my daughter's still really young. But yeah, so it's not a lot of overtime, is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to
So
say.
when you first started this and started seeing these clients on the side, how did you start? And how did you know, even from the start, how to know what to charge these families? What were you basing it off of?
No, those are great questions. So I don't know. I'm a big believer in niching down, getting a lot of experience in one area and kind of like knowing what your favorite population to work in with is. And then just like, saying no to the populations that you know you can't serve best because our field is really broad. And I've tried it all. I've done the feeding and swallowing, the stuttering, articulation and phonology, AAC, and I felt like my path always kept bringing me back to AAC. And then I recently, I would say within the past 2 years, got or had taken the meaningful speech course on Gestalt language processing. And after I was added to the registry, I felt like I started seeing more referrals come in, not only from families, but other speech language pathologists as well. And my very not my first private practice client, but my first private practice client that I've had for a long time. I've had them for 3 years now. They were referred to me by another speech language pathologist who was certified in natural language acquisition approach, but she wasn't that familiar with AAC. And so I had both of those specialties. And this client was in the stage one Gestalt language processor, but non speaking as well. And so she said to the family, I think this is going to be a better fit for you. And I love this family so much. And it's just been really amazing to see this client's progress from stage one all the way to like stage six now. And she, is rarely using her AAC system, but it's there as a backup if she wants to augment speech. But that family was like, we want somebody who's going to be with us long term. And at the time, I was afraid to commit because I was already doing a lot of things. But I don't know, I just feel like this is a really, like this family, we spent an hour talking. I felt like they were a good match. What I did, which was a recommendation from one of my friends, is I did 3 initial consult sessions. So I didn't even do the assessment until the 3rd session. And that was the best piece of advice I've ever received from another private practice owner because I feel like it helps me really determine who is going to be a good match. Not only, in terms of my skill set, but just my boundaries and what my capacity is. So I tend to overcommit and say yes to a lot of things. I don't know if you're like that too, Nicole.
Very much so.
I think a lot of SLPs are. And this recently happened where a client was referred to me and they wanted after school. And my daughter is still really young. She's 4 and she gets out at 4. This client got out at 3. So I was like, yeah, I could do 3:30. My husband will pick her up on those days. But it turns out this client lived kind of far from me, like 25 minutes away. And so I had gone and done the initial consult at their home. I had done a consult at the clinic that they were at, and then we also did a home consult, and it just didn't feel right after I left. I felt bad. My husband had to cancel a meeting that day to go pick up my daughter, and I was like, "You know what? I just don't think this is gonna be a good fit." And I like that I could tell that family at the beginning versus 6 months down the road that it wasn't going to work out. And it worked out perfectly because that clinic that originally had referred this client to me, they were like, we just hired another SLP. She is also trained in the natural language acquisition approach and it'll actually be a good fit. So it worked out. And I feel like that is a really, really good tip. So for anybody that is just starting to take on private practice clients, know what your boundaries are, know what your skill set is. And, you can try to see other clients that are outside of your area of specialty. Just make sure you're getting a lot of training and taking courses in that area and maybe even mentorship if possible. But, start to narrow down who your ideal client is because it's definitely going to help propel your business and help you stand out from other private practices in your area. But it's also going to help you enjoy the process too. So I hope that answered your question because I know you said, how did you start seeing clients on the side? It started with referrals, essentially. I do have a website and I did invest a little bit into Google SEO optimization. And I feel like it's helped. But honestly, I feel like my Google results are not usually the best fit. I feel like the referrals that I get are usually a better fit because those speech language pathologists know what I'm really good at. And it's
Mm.
not their specialty, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then so many private practices have wait lists. So they know that I don't. And if there's a client that's a very good fit, then they'll send them my way. Also, I started, it takes time to build relationships with families, but I've been seeing clients now for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years on the side. And I've been able to ask for reviews, Google reviews. And that was a tip from Marcia Church. So thank you, Marcia, for that tip. And that's also been really helpful because those reviews are pretty specific. So it shows
Mhm.
families who are looking, up speech therapists in the area, what my skill set is and what I'm good at. And it also shows that the families that I work with have been very happy too.
Yeah, that's a lot of good social proof for other families to have more trust in you. And from word of mouth, they can even check to see how other families have worked with you and what they like about it. Can you go into a little more about what you based your prices on and how you learned what to charge based on your area?
Yeah. So this is like a big topic of conversation, I feel like, among SLP Facebook groups. And I know that Jenna, the independent clinician, talks about this a lot. It varies significantly based on your state, based on your area. I do live in an area where we have a lot of families that are coming from New York and California. So it's a bit higher SES. And I do think I'm probably even charging lower than most people. So I started at 70 for 30 minutes. And so my first client is at that rate. But my newer clients were now up to 75. So for a full 50-minute session, it's 150. But I know other speech language pathologists that are charging closer to 200. I personally, for me, I feel like this is different than other types of therapy or professionals who are charging that price, but they're maybe only seeing that client occasionally or a one off or a few times a year. Whereas I'm seeing these clients twice a week on an ongoing basis. So I feel like it's fair. And I haven't had a family push back yet. I also am so in the state of Florida, there's a scholarship that families can get if their child needs services or wants to go to like a charter school. And so I became a provider for that scholarship. So families can basically look me up, charge through this platform, and utilize that scholarship. Or I can charge them, they pay up front, and then they get reimbursed by the scholarship after the fact too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everything has gone up nowadays, right? So I think I'm in that middle range. But if you just kind of see what other speech therapists in your area are charging and try to find some middle ground, I think that's probably a good place to start. I know people will say that if you specialize in a specific area, that you can charge more for that too. So, like AAC therapy, right? I don't. And that's because I just need a simple system for billing. I don't want to be charging one price for AAC, another price for articulation and phonology. I also feel like it's not the family's fault that their child needs like a specific type of therapy. Now, if I'm doing a very involved evaluation, that's a different story because an AAC evaluation takes much longer than a typical speech and language evaluation. So for the evaluation, yes, I will charge more for that. But for speech therapy, I don't. But I'm also very well versed in AAC. So it's not like it takes that much additional effort for me than, you know, another type of therapy might. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for being open and transparent about your prices. I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes people don't throw the numbers out there, which everyone is, like whatever your style is obviously respectable. But thank you for being transparent about that too. How long do you think it took for you to go from seeing one or two clients on the side to matching your school salary?
Yeah. So honestly, I could have done it a lot faster, but because I've either been working a full time or a part time job and running another business on the side, whether it be creating digital projects, publishing books, running the podcast, now doing courses and running a continuing education company, I never felt like I had to go full into seeing private practice clients, and I still don't feel that way, but I love being in therapy still and seeing my AAC and my Gestalt language processor clients. So this would be more recent. I feel like I didn't really run the numbers myself previously, and I wasn't really thinking. I was just like, "Oh, this client got referred to me. Sure, I'll see them." Or there was a period of time where I was investing in space and having clients come to see me in that space, but I was like reinvesting a lot back into that space. So I wasn't able to make basically the amount that I was charging the clients because there was overhead. And so recently I have been just taking on clients who are very close to my home, less than 5 minutes away. And I know that's not always the case, but I've been trying to just see clients who are referred to me within my geographical area. So I don't have to invest in a space at this time and not spend a lot of money, commuting as well. But and then I have that price that I explained to you. Another great tip from my friend who has been running her private practice for a long time. She said that she only does 50-minute sessions. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 50-minute sessions. So it's not a full hour. So that gives you 10 minutes in between each client. And so she'll do direct therapy for 45, and then the additional 5 minutes is parent education or notes. And so it makes a huge difference because the client that I had been seeing for 3 years now, originally we started at 30 minutes. And I don't know why. I think I was just used to that model when I was working in a clinic and it was through insurance. And so I didn't feel like I could sustain a child's attention for a full 50 minutes or 45 minutes, but it is not that much longer and you're making double the amount that you're making at that 30-minute mark. So I actually recently asked the family that I've been seeing for so long if they wanted to increase the time. Like I just, and it's true, I'll go and see this client at her school, but I felt like the 30 minutes would go by super quickly and we could definitely be doing a lot more with that additional 15 to 20 minutes. And they were totally on board. They were like, yeah, absolutely. What else do you need to work on? Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. So in the school setting for this particular client, we're able to do half the session on the playground, half the session we're doing either one-on-one or in centers with the other students in the class. And the time goes by just as quickly, but now I'm able to charge for the full hour, 50 minutes basically. And let me just put this out there if you haven't caught on yet, I am strictly private pay. So I am not billing through insurance. I don't have any intentions on billing through insurance anytime soon, but I am a provider for that scholarship. And I provide a super bill as well for one of my clients. But if you want to know more about super bills, I would definitely say look into the entrepreneurial SLP niche because she is a pro at that and she has some really great tips. So I would definitely check that out if you are looking into doing super bills. And then I just recently, like I told you, I had gotten an influx of referrals at the beginning of the year. Several of them I actually referred out because they were not a good fit for me. But then I actually got another family who has two children who needed services. And so I'm able to go to their home for 2 hours twice a week. And that basically puts me at 6 hours a week and sadly, it is very close to what my school salary was for the state of Florida. But if I wanted to get up, let's say to 60,000, you and I were doing the math earlier, Nicole. So 150 a session times 10, that's 5 clients that you're seeing twice a week. And I said I'm seeing 3 clients twice a week right now. So I'd have to get 2 more clients, right? To get
Mhm.
up to that 10-hour a week mark at 150 a session. What was that? About 6,000 a month. We did it times 10 months because in the schools you're mostly working that 10 month. And that got us to 60,000. Take out your taxes. And if you don't have any overhead, you're just driving to your clients' homes. That puts you in a pretty good place. And with 10 hours a week, you can do so many other things. You could go see more clients. You could pick up more clients. You could do public speaking, you could get a school contract and hire out. So I think a lot of SLPs don't realize how little amount of clients you have to see to basically match what your salary was when you were working full time. So I hope that this provides some clarity for therapists and inspires you to try it. This is definitely something that I would recommend trying on the side of your full time, or if you're taking some time off, maybe you're on a maternity leave or something, that would be a great time to try picking up some clients as well. But I would say
Right, or
networking
even on
with
the
other,
summers
yeah,
for school
summers too.
SLPs.
Yeah, it's hard because I think then you have to switch the schedule once fall comes, but maybe just aligning it with the hours that you could just easily transfer to the summer. Because I think one of the things that's been really nice with the clients that I've seen is because they're such a good match, they I've been able to keep them on for a long period of time.
Mhm.
There have been other clients that I've seen where it wasn't a good match and they drop off within, 2 months or 3 months or something. And that's hard when your schedule is fluctuating too, right? So
Right.
it's just that's why I think just being a little bit more selective with the clients that you take on, making sure that you have a referral list if it's not a good match to refer out, because I never want to leave a family hanging either. And yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out at info@tasseltogether.com, or you can message me at Speechy Side Up on Instagram or the Tassel Together Instagram too. But you can do it. And I guess I'm proof of that you can do it, and it can be a little bit more passive, and it can be like the clients that you want to see, and you don't have to go, and take on 40 new clients to basically match your old salary. It's just being more strategic about the private practice clients that you're seeing. Right. But I think some of those tips that my other friend who's a private practice owner has been doing it a while successfully, those tips that she gave me, like doing the 50-minute sessions and doing those initial consults to make sure it's a good fit, are going to be super, super helpful too.
Yeah, and I think if people have been listening to the last couple of episodes on Speechy Side Hustle, they'll definitely hear from some other guests who have made similar or more tips for them for starting a private practice and seeing people on the side. So, thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Of course. Thanks for asking the questions, the hard questions. And I know those are definitely questions that a lot of SLPs have. And so, again, hopefully we provided some clarity today.